Okay. For those of you that have never torn one down completely before, this is what the inside of your 350 or 305 or 400 motors look like. Now, each one of these you can see is scored right in the middle. Not so much on the main bearings. Actually, these are little worn, so that crank needs to be turned if it can be. This is what was initially wrong with it right here. The bearing wore out on these, and this isn't even. This little ridge is only on, like, it starts like right there, and it's real bad right there, then it fades out by the other oil holes over here. So it's not all the way around. You can probably turn this one, I'm not 100% sure, it depends on how worn it is. But yeah, got all this apart without having to tear. It's still got the cam in it, as a matter of fact. And if you can see it right there, the timing chain's still on it. Vibration damper, the main pulley, all that's still on it. This is each one of the pistons in order that they came out of the motor. Yeah, they were tarnished pretty good. And some of these, that one's a little scored. There's one of the bearings that was in that side. That's a little scored. That one's fine. That one's completely, it's not mirror finished or anything. It's rusted from sitting out here in the grass. Yeah, that's a little rusty too, but no big. They're smooth. But this back one and this one are scored. The bearings, not the control connecting rods. Yeah, the bearings are a little on the thin side, and they're all scored really bad. This one is real bad. You could probably put a record player needle on that and get a tune out of it. That one, it's dirty, but it's not so bad. Kept all the bearing caps in order, all the rod ends in order. Now these are all out of the other rods. Yeah, these are all okay. That one's scored pretty good too. But anyway, this is all the internal components. Piston, your connecting rod, the end cap, which goes on here, along with a bearing on top and on bottom, and it bolts around that. One of them bolts here, and the other one bolts up right here next to it. They're not that hard to get in and out. Main thing you got to do when you go to put them in is get you a ring compressing tool. Get those all compressed up, slide this thing down in the top of the block, tap it in until it slides past the rings and they're seated on the inside of the block, and you're good to go. Now, I guess Just this. Okay, now this was slammed full of oil because some genius ran Quaker State motor oil in it, or motor honey, something thick like that. And you can see how it's all caked up on the inside of the motor. This is where your oil goes to die, people. All over the inside of your motor, in those, well, those are oil drain offs. In your drain offs for your block, where it drains back down into the oil pan, some of it cakes up in the, and of course, these are pretty well seated in there. I can't just pop them out. But you can see how gummed up all this is. It's not like you can eat off this block. Now this may or may not be able to be honed and used again. I'm doubting it. This motor's actually got 215,000 miles on it. I wouldn't use it around the yard. This is a Chevy 350, small block of course. This is what they call the long block, just the lower part of it. Cam's still in it. Here's the throttle body intake. And they're rusty now, so you can't really see. Left all the push rods in here. But there's one in particular. I think that one's stuck in the ground. Yeah, that's the culprit. See how it's kind of got that little smiley look to it? That's not exactly straight. I can turn it over. Now it's got the little franny look to it. Smiley. Franny. It's called a bent rod. Bent push rod. Now as far as the valves go, yeah, they could be lapped and seated. And it looks like darn near every one of them could have used it. But overall the intake doesn't seem to be in very bad shape at all. Don't have bent valves, just a bent push rod, and it was only one. Oh, mosquitoes are out early. Thank you. See, all these are straight. That one's straight. That one's straight. It's the same way all the way down. But one bent push rod, and it not being taken care of properly, straight. Being this one, it's all curved. Straight. One bent push rod, and you've also got two bad bearings all of a sudden, and a motor that's not going to run. Now, my dilemma, and maybe you guys can help me with this. My dilemma is, I've got a new crank, this piece, and bearings, the part that failed, these pieces. You got one that goes on top like so, and then one that goes on the bottom, and then the piston and the end cap go on it. And you bolt it down and torque it. I've got the crank to rebuild this one. Crank and bearings. I've got a timing chain and a timing gear to rebuild this one. Do not have another crank, or another cam rather. You can see the cam down in there. when the journal's not in the way there. With 215,000 miles on it, I'm kind of thinking it's probably going to be a waste of time. I should probably just load this sucker on my trailer over there and take it down to the foundry for scrap. But I know some of you that watch actually rebuild motors and such, and I figured I'd get your opinions for it. Save my little electronics on my sensors, because I'm probably going to wind up needing them on that 4x4. My throttle body, of course, I'm missing the 2 sprayers. Those kind of disappeared on me somehow. Coil. This I would replace anyway, even if it wasn't bad. But the screen on this was shot too. This is the oil pump. But the screen on it was all chewed up when the rest of the bottom half of the motor let loose. So I got good heads that just need cleaned up, like my daughter's S10. Pistons are probably okay. I haven't measured them, haven't gotten the micrometer or the caliper out yet to measure them. But I'm really not 100% sure whether it'd be worth rebuilding this or not. Having it bored and honed or bored and sleeved or whatever the heck it needs. And since I've got the replacement crank for it, I don't know. I'm kind of torn. What do you guys think? Let me know. I'd appreciate it. Thanks for watching.